Okay, so that ought to do. I might want to flip this back over and lay that piece in there and drill the holes that way. Bolts, and really just the process of the hole is tight enough where you can turn that with like this little wrench right here, and just the process of turning it into that, I saw it straighten this thing up a pretty good bit. Now right here, you see how this is kind of overlapping that. I might be able to get a wrench in here to spread that a little bit. Eventually that plate is going to go on the top side of that, but if that'll hold itself in place, I can put the plate on a jack, slide it up in there and jack it up. I'm going to get a big screwdriver and see if I can maybe prise the front end of this down a little bit. Right here. Maybe I could just flip it over. Maybe. I got one up here that's not lining up. I can run a drill through that though. I'm gonna reach up under it and give it a little twist. There. Okay then, so the next thing that's going to need to happen, see how this is kind of bent up right here? Well, this needs to be come back down to about where that is. And I'm going to need to remake this front end, I believe, to make that happen, which is going to involve some more metal work. Now I've got a hook, I don't know if it's like this one, but I've got a hook on this one here. Now, I might be able to cut that whole thing off and move it over here, but I think I'm going to have to reinforce this front end to get that to come back down. See, if I put my foot on there, I can hold it in place. And see, since the lawnmower hangs on that, if that's all wobbly, then the mower deck's going to be all wobbly. So I need to figure this out. What's the best way? And it may be the best way is to flip it over and weld a bar on that bar that's underneath there. Let me flip this over and we'll look at the bottom side of it. I'm going to cut y'all off while I consider this. So I will have to say that whoever invented the chain dogs is a pretty clever fellow. So what I'm going to try to do is pull from that point to this point and bring this point back to here. Let's see if we can do that. So I can do it and then some. So I'm going to actually loosen up one chain link here. Try that again. Okay, now what I should be able to do is weld something from here to here. Now, yeah. I may want to be careful about not bending this thing so much that I wind up bending it down too far. I may want to change this and bring the hook down here instead of out here. Now I think that's better. I think this should probably be straightened. But I can straighten that if I can stable this under here. And I may want to put some metal inside of this. But I think the first thing I ought to do is weld these 2 points together. I think that's the quickest way to begin to get something to hold that in place while I figure out what else I want to do to make this work. Okay, I cleaned the floor up over there and I put one of these rollers under the 2 back corners of this upside down 48-inch mower deck. And I put 2 floor jacks on the front, and I'm going to try to roll it over to where my welder is so I can set up my weld over there. So you can see what I got to work with here, which is not much. But I'm going to try to pull this lip and this lip up here together and get a weld up in here to tie this together. And then I'll make something to go over all of this. Yep, that's what I'm looking at. All right then. So I think now I need to study on this a little bit. What needs to happen here is that you see those two hooks way over there on the front of that? Well, you see one here, and this hook hooks into a bar that holds this thing up. And the other hook used to be right here, and who knows where it is. It has fallen off and become lost. Now it may be that if those two line up, I can use one of them and put it over here, but as you can see, there's really nothing to weld to because all this metal is just paper thin. So I need to reinforce this and create something that's strong enough to weld those hooks on, and either make the hooks or get those hooks and figure out how to make them work. And by putting this good heavy metal here, I do have something to work with. I could, and I may use a big piece of angle iron here and then weld my hook onto that, and then I can patch the rest of this with some thinner metal. But that's going to require a little thought, and it's pretty hot out here, and I've been out here a long time. Might be time to go in and get me a glass of tea and study on this for a little bit, and then think about what I want to do next here. But this did tie that whole front end together, and the brace piece under here is flat because see this goes over the grass that you're cutting, so you don't want anything that's going to plow. That's why I made that as flat as I could. I might want to come along and do some more welding right in here and some grinding on that front. But we'll study on all that. Still operational. I don't know. I wouldn't know. Well, basically.